former president once again is dominating the headlines. This time it's been an indictment for 37 felony counts, as in terms of his refusing to turn over documents that were then seized at Mar-a-Lago. And so I guess my question is really twofold. You're starting to see some cracks, but is this finally going to be the straw that so-called breaks the camel's back? And what is going to be the fallout of Republicans who really are more and more defending the indefensible? Carrie?
I think I agree with the Wall Street Journal editorial page. They did point out that Trump, he was his own worst enemy. He really should have followed through and returned the documents in a more timely manner. And in that way, it was a self-sabotage. But that being said, the case itself, you have a former Trump attorney speaking out very strongly with, I think, very valid concerns on the issue of attorney-client privilege that seems to be just extremely violated. And then the Journal pointed out that the indictment itself does not even include any mention of the Presidential Records Act, and they're just trying to invoke the Espionage Act. But the thing is, it's not even relevant. The Espionage Act, if you don't take into consideration the Presidential Records Act, then it's a weaker case, I believe. So I think that there's a lot of uncharted territory in this respect, because if it was just Joe Blow citizen, then hands down he'd be in prison right now. But this isn't. This is a former president under the Presidential Records Act that had much broader powers. And so I think that those powers were ignored to a large extent. I think I think the indictment probably understates his powers, and Trump in his behavior, in his mind, was overstating his powers. And I think the truth is usually somewhere in between. That's usually how, our legal system operates in shades of gray. So, and as far as the political mechanics of it, today, as we're taping this, is actually the 8-year anniversary of Trump coming down the Golden Staircase. He posted about it today. And since he did that, just the level of vitriol, and it's transparent, like as a conservative, the way Hollywood embraced him. I mean, Hollywood royalty loved him. Barbara Walters had a Trump Tower apartment, Johnny Carson, Michael Jackson. I mean, the whole A-listers, Steven Spielberg had a tower. It was only when he became a Republican that the knives came out. And I think that's part of why a lot of people are circling the wagons.
Well, I'm gonna jump into this conversation as well. Look, my opinion is Americans are still living in a bubble. If you're a Fox News channel person, you're watching Fox News. If you're a CNN person, you're watching CNN. I was in Jerusalem about a week and a half ago, and outside the Jaffa Gate, I bumped into a Newsmax Jerusalem correspondent or Israel correspondent, Daniel Cohen, and he was great to talk to. And we really spent a few minutes just chatting about the news business and how it works and his thoughts. And I'm not necessarily a Newsmax person, but I really appreciate the fact that journalists are out there doing their job on every side. So if you really want to get an opinion, you need to listen to all the different sides. And in terms of Trump, I think, you've got those people who just will not listen to anything. It doesn't matter what Trump does. They will not listen. They don't care. They're not interested. However, the problem is the entire country aren't just Trump voters and aren't just Republicans. And I think this is damaging to him. And I think it is a problem. And I don't think that it's helpful that Americans aren't, I just hope in this next elections, Americans just start listening to both sides, whether it's Newsmax or Fox News or CNN or CBS, and start making their own opinions. There aren't facts that you can choose. There are just facts. Things are either facts or not facts. And I think any indictment against a former president or a president is a problem. I mean, we want leaders that we can emulate. We want leaders that, give our children hope in the future. We want leaders who are clean in many respects. And frankly, and I've said this before, we want leaders who are not interesting, who are dull, who actually go out there and do their job and do politics.
Well, this is actually a question for both of you, but I'll let Carrie take a stab at it first. Do you think the comparisons, Hillary Clinton did it, Joe Biden did it, Mike Pence did it, do you think that's a fair comparison?
I think with Joe Biden would be the only fair comparison because Hillary Clinton and Mike Pence have never been president. So they've never had the powers, again, of the Presidential Records Act in that respect to declassify material. So I think the rules are different for Biden and for Trump. But that being said, the rules should be the same for Biden and Trump. And the fact that Biden was keeping his classified material in his garage with the Corvette, that doesn't inspire confidence. So, and again, I think that the double standard, that's something that conservatives talk a lot about, that there seems to be one level of justice for thee, but not for me.
Well, to me, that's my major gripe, is that it's not apples and oranges. And the one thing that people need to keep in mind, and this is where conservatives conflate these issues. The issue with Trump was not that he took the documents. The issue was what he did after the government tried to get the documents back. And that's where all the other people involved, whether it's Biden or Hillary or Pence, this is where I don't think being president is relative, they cooperated. They said, oh, okay, come and check it out. Come and take the documents back. That's not what Trump did. He was like, oh, they're mine, mine, mine. And then, he's caught on tape saying he didn't declassify it. So that's why I think this is a serious issue. But just for a president to be so cavalier with national secrets, this again just brings up this theme of carelessness and this theme of not really thinking what's good in the what's good for the national interest. And this is why I still have never gotten an answer from a conservative or a Trump supporter when I say, name one time when Donald Trump put the country before himself, because there are no times. And this is perhaps the most egregious example of that. Thoughts?
Dave, I have to agree with you. I don't think it's the same. I think it's very easy to try to always make comparisons. I don't mean to be flip about this, but I do think the work from home thing has been taken too seriously by all these people. Maybe we should keep our work in the office if you're a president or vice president, because these are national security issues. They do not belong on either side. None of this belongs in the open space where anyone can get a hold of it. And I have to tell you, I believe some leaders are probably don't even use email, don't even have documents out there. They just keep it all like in their office. And that's probably the best way to keep a secret. I've always been told that if you need to keep something secret, it's best to keep it to yourself. I really do think that we need to take this seriously, because there are eyes and ears all over Washington, D.C., all over the world, and national security and bigger issues need to be kept quiet. So, but Dave, again, I agree with you. I think that there's no comparison between Trump and Biden in this story.
Carrie?
Well, I think just from a technology standpoint, I think even using printouts, and to me, that's very dinosaur. I don't even own a printer. I have to go downstairs in my condo to use the condo printer. I try to studiously avoid having documents. So if I'm ever working for someone like there, I will advise them to, and then when you leave office, just, why do you feel the need to carry boxes with you? I think they become obsolete very quickly also. Like, the intelligence is so fresh and so new very quickly that these papers they have are kind of dinosaurs anyway, just from an intelligence standpoint. But I think the dispute is, they have not shown malicious intent on the part of the president when he took the documents, or, I agree the recording, that does raise questions, but I think overall the sense that the president had a good faith belief that he had the ability to declassify these documents, and it was a dispute of that nature.
He said that he didn't, so I would dispute that. But again, it's this idea.
That was one paper.
My Justice Department, they're my documents, they're my generals. This idea that it's his personal fiefdom, I think, has gotten him in trouble over and over again. And the thing I don't understand is, I've liked to poke fun at the dim-witted things that Kevin McCarthy says and does, and I think he may have outdone himself this time when he said, I say this with trying to keep a straight face, well, it wasn't really a problem because Trump put them in the bathroom which has a door that locks. And of course, I would laugh. I said, do you know anyone who locks their bathroom door from the outside? In fact, some of the people I know who are getting up in age, if the bathroom door were ever locked from the outside, that would be a crisis. So it's just sad that instead of saying, hey, this is a real mistake, there should be some culpability here, we get to the point where so many of these people are just contorting themselves into saying ridiculous things to defend the indefensible.